The storm swirling around Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni isn't just another Hollywood spat. It's spiraling into one of the most high-stakes legal showdowns the industry has seen in years. With massive financial claims on the line, explosive allegations, and unexpected betrayals, each new development seems more startling than the last. Here's how it all unraveled and why it might only get worse from here. It all began when Blake Lively brought a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, alleging a range of serious grievances that threatened to tarnish both of their reputations. At first, the dispute seemed like a private contractual matter, the sort of disagreement that high-profile celebrities quietly settle behind closed doors. But that assumption was shattered once the court documents went public. Instead of reaching a swift resolution, the clash escalated into a legal war, one that demanded everyone's attention. From the very beginning, both sides recognized the weight of the claims. We're talking about the potential for crippling damages, $400 million, even for individuals used to multi-million-dollar deals and lucrative endorsements. That figure was jaw-dropping. Blake insisted that this lawsuit was about vindicating her rights and clearing her name, whereas Justin's defense team countered with evidence that painted a very different picture. Almost overnight, the case became a Hollywood spectacle, with rumors swirling about behind-the-scenes power moves and attempts to control the narrative. At the center of the turmoil is a contentious court timetable that has sparked a flurry of accusations on both sides. Blake's legal team filed for an extension well past their original deadline, citing the need to add new parties and gather more evidence. Initially, the judge had allowed some leeway. No one wanted the case to be rushed if crucial pieces of the puzzle weren't in place. Yet Blake's side soon pushed their luck, coming back to request even more time, and in doing so, they lit a fire under the courtroom drama. Judge Lyman, clearly frustrated, questioned the constant appeals for additional delays. In the face of those requests, he had already granted an extension until Valentine's Day. Yet still, they wanted more. When Blake's lawyers revealed plans to bring in new witnesses and possibly name new defendants, the judge demanded specifics. Their answers, however, felt less like clarity and more like a last-ditch effort to buy time. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's lead attorney, Brian Friedman, had a stack of receipts ready to counter every new angle Blake's legal team introduced. He presented evidence showing that not too long ago, when Baldoni's side was dealing with legitimate crises, like the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles, Blake's team refused to grant them even a brief deadline extension. With a measured but forceful approach, Friedman pointed out the hypocrisy. How could Blake's side now expect leniency when they themselves had shown none? The judge's patience was wearing thin. Ultimately, he refused to grant the sweeping extension Blake's team had requested, instead allowing them only a single additional day to file amended paperwork. It was a stinging blow, one that signaled a no-nonsense approach from the bench. If Blake's side didn't have their case locked down, they'd still have to move forward, ready or not. Amid these legal wranglings, Blake's attorneys attempted a risky strategy, piling on more witnesses. Chief among these was Jenny Slate, who had worked with Baldoni on the highly anticipated film adaptation of It Ends With Us. Early on, Jenny had spoken publicly in support of Blake, implying she believed the allegations against Blake were baseless attacks. That initial show of loyalty appeared to signal that Jenny might be a star witness. But when the time came to present sworn testimony, Jenny reportedly backed away from direct involvement. She avoided aligning herself fully with Blake's claims, which left observers guessing. Was there real evidence to back up Blake's version of events? Or was this a strategic move gone awry? Blake's legal team tried to compel Jenny's testimony by subpoena, banking on the idea that any negative experiences she might have had with Baldoni could corroborate Blake's story. Yet Jenny's reluctance forced them to pivot to a new plan, one that would hinge on drawing in other parties instead. This wasn't the only curveball hitting Blake's side. They also blamed one of Baldoni's associates, Jed Wallace, for supposedly complicating the case with overlapping legal actions. But in a dramatic courtroom reveal, Friedman showed the judge that it was Blake, not Jed, who had first filed legal action in Texas, weeks before Wallace responded with his own suit. That revelation left Blake's team scrambling to explain why they'd mischaracterized the sequence of events. It also gave the impression they were trying to manipulate the timeline to justify more delays. Just when everyone thought this legal storm couldn't escalate further, Justin Baldoni's team launched a public-facing website. Inside was a goldmine of court documents, timelines, and most explosively, text messages between Blake and Baldoni that had never seen the light of day. In the blink of an eye, the dispute moved from hushed legal corridors to the court of public opinion, where anyone could read the evidence and draw their own conclusions. The move stunned Blake's legal team, especially since it came shortly after their failed attempt to impose a gag order on Brian Friedman. They had hoped to keep him from making public statements, presumably out of concern that his disclosures might damage Blake's credibility. Yet the court rejected that request, essentially allowing Friedman to keep speaking. And now there was also a digital repository of evidence that anyone could access around the clock. Blake's side attempted to have the website shut down, arguing that releasing these details publicly would undermine a fair trial and sensationalize the case. However, the judge reasoned that Blake's team had already engaged with the media, including major outlets, to shape the narrative. If they'd taken their arguments public first, why should Baldoni's team be silenced now? Instead of a protective order against the site, the court allowed it to remain active. For Blake, this was yet another setback that signaled the tide had decidedly turned against her. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds entered the fray, unwillingly or not. A leaked text he sent to Baldoni, back when the two were excitedly discussing "It Ends With Us," showed Ryan's enthusiasm for the project, with him saying something along the lines of, "This is going to be incredible. I happen to adore you, Justin." At the time, it was likely just a friendly note between industry colleagues. Now, it's taken on a whole new meaning. With allegations of wrongdoing swirling around Baldoni, that message has turned into a magnet for speculation. Some wonder if Ryan's warm support could come back to haunt both him and Blake, drawing deeper questions about how much they really knew before all of this blew up. Ryan's appearance in this drama only amplifies the stakes. He and Blake have long been one of Hollywood's most high-profile power couples, with brand deals, production companies, and multiple business ventures. Should this lawsuit end disastrously, the financial repercussions could shake their entire enterprise. A $400 million judgment isn't just a bruise, it's a life-altering blow that could derail their future projects and hamper their standing in the industry. Endorsements, sponsorships, and new roles might all be at risk if a court finds them liable or if the public's trust in them erodes. Behind the scenes, tension within Blake's camp has reportedly reached a boiling point. Each new public misstep, be it an overreach with a gag order or an ill-timed request for an extension, makes it look like they're scrambling to hold their position. And each time they try a fresh tactic, Justin's team seems ready to expose it as yet another ploy. According to insiders, the morale in Blake's legal circle is at a low. Nobody likes to be repeatedly outmaneuvered in such a public forum. It doesn't help that this case has become a media sensation. The same outlets Blake may have courted for sympathy are now questioning her strategy, dissecting every court filing, every leaked document, every communication. With so much scrutiny, it's no wonder the tension feels unstoppable. The more her side fights, the more it seems they're feeding a story that refuses to leave the headlines. Meanwhile, Justin's side appears content to counter every accusation with tangible evidence, receipts, text messages, timelines displayed for everyone to see. As this legal brawl rages on, the ultimate question looms. Can Blake Lively's team pull off a miraculous comeback, or is the weight of each failed strategy just too much to bear? Public perception has already shifted noticeably. Where some initially saw Blake as a courageous figure standing up for her rights, many now wonder if there's a hidden motive behind the constant delays and changing narratives. Justin, once presumed by some to be on the back foot, now appears bolstered by every turn of the legal wheel. The possibility of a settlement still lingers. Most cases of this magnitude end that way. But if both sides remain entrenched, the next steps could be catastrophic for the losing party. A verdict with 9-figure damages could crush even well-funded Hollywood A-listers, casting a long shadow over future ventures. It would reshape how studios, agents, and producers approach them, possibly for years to come. So here we are, waiting to see if any last-minute revelations or settlement talks might turn the tide. The drama is far from finished, but one thing is clear: the stakes couldn't be higher, and both sides are prepared to dig in for a legal war that could change their lives forever. What do you think? Will Blake's team manage to regroup and salvage their case? Or is this the beginning of the end for her once untouchable public image? The next twist could be even more astonishing, so stay tuned and keep an eye on what might be revealed next in a showdown that's already left Hollywood breathless.